Welcome to Think Tech of Hawaii, Asia in Review. This is Johnson Choi, your host today. Today, I am very fortunate to have the chance to invite Cynthia Ning. She is the Associate Director with the Center for Chinese Study, and she is also the U.S. Director for Confucius Institute at the University of Hawaii. And I have known Cynthia for more than 10 years. Very capable young lady that I'm proud to know. So Cynthia, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I have known of Confucius Institute start up a little bit, maybe around 10 years ago. And at that time, I wasn't very well aware what about Confucius Institute was all about. And then throughout the last 10 years, I went to some of your functions. And I'm quite, some of my friends who also get involved in the summer program. And when I travel throughout North America, and I heard different comments or different attitude or understanding about Chinese Institute, Confucius Institute. So I thought maybe this is a good chance to bring one of the major players in the Confucius Institute in North America to come here and talk to our audience. Okay, Cynthia, maybe you can explain to us what Confucius Institute is all about.
The Confucius Institute is an outreach program of the Chinese government. It's with the Chinese Ministry of Education, and it's run by a group called the Hanban, the Office of the Chinese Language International. So the Confucius Institute partners with local educational institutions, mostly with colleges across the world. I think the notion of the Confucius Institute first came up in 2004. And they had a trial run in Tashkent. And I think the first Confucius Institute opened in Korea. And the first Confucius Institute in the U.S. was in Maryland, University of Maryland. Hawaii is actually number 6. There's 109, from what I understand, Confucius Institutes in the U.S. right now. And we were one of the early ones. Every Confucius Institute opened in a different way. Some Confucius Institutes, some universities, U.S. universities, very proactively went after that funding. So they approached the Chinese consulate or embassy and applied to become a Confucius Institute. Because we were so early, it was before we even knew what a Confucius Institute was. Apparently what happened was the initiative started, and the LA consulate thought, well, we should have one in our region. And so they came to the University of Hawaii and they talked to the president, David McLean, at the time, and said, well, we have this new program. Would you be interested in some sort of collaboration with us? And David McLean, being an internationalist, said, of course, we'll be a Confucius Institute. And not knowing what a Confucius Institute was, he thought, well, Confucius is a philosopher. So he sent a memo to the Department of Philosophy and said, shall we take this on? And the philosophy department contacted the Center for Chinese Studies, where I'm associate director, and said, shall we explore this? So I happened to be on my way to China. So I asked, when I got there, I asked our best contact, an alumnus from the University of Hawaii, who is currently Vice Minister of Education. I asked him, Confucius Institutes? What are they? Shall we do one? At the time, he was president of the Beijing Foreign Studies University. It's the university in China that produces most of its diplomats. So I understand about 70% of China's diplomats go through the Beijing Foreign Studies University. And so this alumnus of ours said, yeah, it's a very good thing, and we should have one, collaborate with us, work with us. So the University of Hawaii has a partnership with Beijing Foreign Studies University, and we established our Confucius Institute in 2006.
Now, my understanding is when the negotiation or before they actually established in Hawaii, there was a story that the way the agreement, that the kind of flexibility that China government allowed Confucius Institute to do, is pretty wide open, right?
Yeah. Basically, the Confucius Institute promotes Chinese language and culture. That's its basic mission. How you interpret it is up to you. Every Confucius Institute around the world, there's I think about 500 now around the world on just about every continent. Every Confucius Institute is different because how each institution chooses to maximize its own strengths and meet its own local needs is going to be a little different. But the baseline is promote Chinese language and culture. And of course, you know, I grew up in Pakistan, and I learned English at a British school. And I used to love the U.S. Information Agency. And, you know, I have since heard, oh, that's just U.S. soft power and stuff like that. I didn't care. They had libraries, they had English language programs. They brought American performing arts groups to Pakistan to perform, sing and dance. I used to love that. To me, the Confucius Institute is pretty much the same thing. We provide a channel for anybody who's interested to access China. So, what was I saying before that?
You were in Beijing. You met with the.
Yeah. So we decided we'll go ahead and sign one. So the baseline is promote Chinese language and culture, and promote friendly relations and exchange between the U.S. and China. Okay, I'm with the Center for Chinese Studies at the University of Hawaii. We have 50 plus faculty who are doing research on China. We have about 100 graduate students who are also doing research on China. We offer about 150 courses. So basically, the mission is not that different from what the mission of the Center for Chinese Studies is. So of course we said, yes, we can do it. So we basically took some of the same things we used to do. Now we can do it a lot better because we have all the support now from China to do what we used to do.
So how's the funding or institute? Is it like 50-50, or is it how we share the cost on?
So the University of Hawaii provides the space.
I see.
Okay, and space in Manoa is a premium. Okay, so when the Confucius Institute opened, there were 3 offices and any classroom. So when we offer lectures, events, performances, classes, the University of Hawaii provides the space. And as a member of the Center for Chinese Studies, I apply for it, we get it, and we do it that way. The University of Hawaii provides my salary. I'm the US director. Every Confucius Institute has at least a local director, and most of them have a Chinese director as well. Some do not. Some choose to not have a Chinese director. We chose to have one because so actually we decide who we want from China to come and help us with this Confucius Institute. And for our Confucius Institute, we said, could we please have a Chinese director, 2 teachers, and 2 volunteers?
Do you get to go to China to help to pick or candidate for you to choose from?
I suppose if we wanted to do that, we could, but we have very good relationships with our...
So you trust
We trust them.
Yeah, okay.
We have very good relationships with our partner institution, Beijing Foreign Studies University. They have an office that runs Confucius Institute affairs. Beijing Foreign Studies University, I think, has the most Confucius Institutes around the world of any university in China. I think they have something like 17, you know, Rome and Germany and Central Europe and many Confucius Institutes. So they have an office that does nothing but supports the Confucius Institutes. We're the only US Confucius Institute that they have, that partners with them. So we said we want a Chinese director and 4 instructors. And so they pick. So the Chinese director is a senior faculty member with some administrative experience. So the person we have right now is named Professor Wu Qing, and her focus is interpretation. So her English is very good, and she once worked with the Office of International Affairs, so she has administrative experience, and she's doing a wonderful job.
So the China director that came to Hawaii, her payroll is on the China side.
All the Chinese staff.
Picked up by the
everything. All their expenses are picked up by the Hanban, by the Chinese government.
How many Chinese staff are in Hawaii?
5.
There are 5.
We asked for 5. We asked for the director, 2 teachers, and 2 volunteers. Now the volunteers are graduate students. They're graduate students in a department of Chinese as a foreign language. So they're majoring in how to teach Chinese. Okay, so and then 2 teachers who have experience teaching Chinese. Yeah, so. I can't imagine how we've always had Chinese staff. I can't imagine how I could run this Confucius Institute without my Chinese colleagues. They're wonderful. They work very hard, and they come and they learn a lot about the local culture. We were so proud a couple of years ago when the Chinese director was invited by one of the local Chinese associations to be an MC at one of their events, because he had spent so much time getting to know the local community. So this arrangement is win-win both ways. We get benefit from their input, and it's a sort of overseas training opportunity for them. They get to actually work in a foreign institution, not just come and visit and study. They actually work. They have to see how an American institution works. They teach American students. They work with American administrators, and they bring a lot back to China.
Usually, how long does the China director stay in Hawaii, and how about the rest of the staff that
So the Chinese director, I understand the term is 2 years,
2 years.
renewable once.
So could be 4 years.
Could be 4 years.
I think the last one stayed for 4 years, right?
Stayed for 5 years.
5
there was
years,
a special. There was a special situation.
I see.
China had decided to have a major conference here,
I
and
see.
so they asked him to please stay on the extra year because he knew the situation to handle this major conference. And so he stayed on 5 years. He has since moved to Germany. He's now in Germany.
Also in the Confucius
as
Institute?
the director. Of the
Okay.
and they invited me to go give my specialization is Chinese language pedagogy, how to teach. So they invited me to go do a workshop there in Germany. I'm really looking forward to it. I've been doing some research on this university. They're amazing. They are a very prominent university in Germany, and they produced a long line of very prominent people. So I'm looking forward to visiting them.
I was told that being a teacher or being a bilingual teacher not necessarily is a good teacher in foreign languages. So I guess is it one of your job is to train teachers to be a language teacher?
Yes. The University of Hawaii is we're very lucky, I think, because there's an internationally known Department of Second Language Studies at the University of Hawaii. They're, if not the best, the second best, they're one of the best in the world. So how languages are learned and how languages can best be taught has become a discipline.
I see.
There's in that department, there's, I don't know how many, 15 faculty focusing on different aspects on how best to learn languages and how best to teach languages. Okay, so second language studies. So in the US, language pedagogy is there's a big focus on it. And I've spent 30 years exploring how best to teach Chinese. So some of the research that comes out of second language studies departments, the papers they publish, what they say about what works and what doesn't work. I've been experimenting with Chinese. And I've published quite a few textbooks, mostly through Yale University, and currently co-published by China, Sinolingua. So anyway, so I take what the field in the U.S. is working on, and I apply it to Chinese. Okay, so I said earlier that every Confucius Institute decides what its focus is going to be. Okay, so China doesn't tell you what to do. In fact, a few years ago there was this big push. The focus was localization. They were telling everybody across the world, "Come on, don't just do what everybody else is doing. Look at what your location needs. Look at what the local condition is, and look at your own strengths, and come up with your own innovative program." Okay, so Confucius Institutes really do very different things. One that we know rather well focuses only on literature. They publish literature, they do translation, they bring literary scholars together, they have conferences, and they have this journal that introduces Chinese literature to the West. There's another one that focuses just on music. There's one that focuses on business. There's another one that focuses on Chinese medicine. But our primary offering, I think, is Chinese language teaching. So one thing we do is we partnered with an American program. Okay, there's an American program called StarTalk. And every summer they give, I think it's about 140 institutions around the country funding to run teacher training institutes and student language camps. Okay.
I think we are going to break into a commercial, so we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
You're watching Think Tech Hawaii, meeting people we may not have otherwise met, helping us understand and appreciate the good things about Hawaii. Great content for Hawaii from Think Tech.
Aloha, this is Maria Mera, and I'm here to invite you to my bilingual show, Viva Hawaii on Think Tech Hawaii, every other Monday at 3 p.m. We're here to inform, motivate, and entertain you. Join us. Hola, soy María Mera y estoy aquí para invitaros a mi show bilingüe Viva Hawaii en Think Tech Hawaii cada 2 lunes a las 3 de la tarde. Estamos aquí para informaros, motivaros y entreteneros. Apuntaros.
Aloha! Hello, my name is Patrick Bratton. I'm host at Global Connections here at Think Tech Hawaii. We broadcast live every Thursday at 1 p.m. We bring Hawaii to the world and the world to Hawaii, talking about international events and various things of interest to the audience. Please join me. I look forward to talking with you and having you get to meet some of my guests. Aloha.
Welcome back to Asia in Review. This is Johnson Choi, your host. Our guest today is Cynthia Ning. Before we go into commercial break, we're talking about try to have different Confucius Institute to be localization. In other words, try to not to have a one-size-fits-all.
Right.
So when you talk about localization, are you working both on the U.S. director and also the director from China to get involved in the local or to have some feedback to work on? I don't know whether you do a annual plan or 2-year plan, because sometimes when you even do localization, you need to have some pre-planning to say, well, what we're going to do in the next year, 2, 3, 4. So how does that process usually work?
There's a saying that's been bandied around about in recent years, which is you cross the river by feeling the stones. Oh. Okay, in a way, that's what we're doing. You can come up with plans, but then you have to sort of get into them and see how it works, and then make adjustments. There's a constant feedback loop. So the Chinese director comes in it could be every 2 years. At best every 4 years. And so it takes a while for them to sort of find out the local situation. And they make their rounds. They talk to all the local people and hear what's going on. And the local situation keeps changing too. So we always respond to the local situation. So, but the major pieces of our Confucius Institute, one, I was just telling you that our major push is teacher training. And then we try to make available Chinese language courses. So we offer our own courses on weekends, and we support other institutions that are teaching Chinese language as best we can. We generally wait for them to ask us, what we try not to be too pushy. But if somebody asks us for support, we'll provide it. China, every year, it'll come up with a slate of, here, this is something that's special on offer this year. For example, they'll say there's a group of college students that is available to go on tour if you want them. So anybody who wants them says, we want them, and then they get in the lineup. So when we have like a group that has come here, generally I'll send out a message to all the Chinese language schools, including like public and private schools that offer Chinese, saying, okay, we're having this, anybody interested? And usually we can't meet the demand. Usually we can't meet the demand, right? So we pick the people who want the most interesting things and the most useful things, and we try to move it around, so we don't always go to the same place. So if, the last group that came in, Le Jardin in Kailua, decided that if you could come to our school, we'll have the whole school come to the gym and watch the performance. So we did that.
So sometimes when we talk about the learning the language, and my understanding is it's best to learn the language when you are at a young age. I mean, because when you get to a certain age, it's a little bit difficult. Also, sometimes in the situation like in America is whether you're Asian, Chinese or Japanese, sometimes since most of them want them to be they want to be assimilation. They want to be speak English. They don't want to look different in school. So a lot of time they are not very forthcoming, even though in the family they speak whatever Asian language when they go to school. And then we were talking about that maybe there are schools in certain part of the country or the nation. We talk about a emergent school concept. Can you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah.
And you told me that one of the school in Hawaii, Merino, may be considering doing that.
Right.
So can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Sure. Immersion language learning is the fastest growing form of foreign language learning in the U.S. right now. I understand that many immersion programs that have been started across the U.S. Have huge waiting lists, parents wanting to get their kids in. I think primarily because the research reports that have been coming up show that kids that go through immersion program, an immersion program, let me back up just a second, is one in which at least half of the school day, at least half, maybe all of the school day is taught in a foreign language. So Hawaii has Hawaiian immersion. So in a Hawaiian immersion school, everything is taught in Hawaiian. It's just, you just go to school and you start talking Hawaiian. So in a foreign language immersion program, say a Chinese immersion program, at least half of the day would be conducted in Chinese. And kids, like kindergartners or first graders, they don't think that's weird. They just go to school. Doesn't everybody do that? As soon as they enter, they start talking Chinese. The fear in the beginning had been that, if they're learning Chinese, that's too much of a load on their brains. They're going to fall behind. The research has shown the opposite. Kids who go through immersion by about 5th grade are ahead of everybody else. They test better in English. When they take the English test, they test better. They test better in math. They test better in science. So now there's a whole bunch of parents who say, get my kid in immersion. They've even used immersion in economically disadvantaged districts as a way of getting kids ahead, because kids who were performing badly before now are several points ahead of similar cohorts.
Are
So-
those statistics that kids learn a second language or speak a second language in the early age actually enhance the learning in the future years? And have those studies been published or widespread distributed to
Yes.
education? I mean, the teachers, the board education. I mean, if that has been done, is it done recently? If it
Yes,
has not,
it has been done,
Is
and
it
it
a
is
recent
being
thing?
yes, yes.
so it's not. That research has not been published or widely distributed until very recent years. Then.
A few years ago, I am actually a newcomer to immersion,
I see.
and that is our push for the next few years.
see.
You talked about a plan. That's part of our plan. We would love to push Chinese immersion in Hawaii.
So it may take a while.
It
to-
will
to
definitely
sink in.
take a while.
Okay,
It will
I see.
definitely take a while. It's sort of a counterintuitive idea that you make them do more work
I see.
and they do better in all these different things. It has to do with neuroscience and the building of pathways in the brain. You give the brain a workout and it performs better. But it's so far. You mentioned Maryknoll School. Maryknoll School said that it was interested in exploring the possibility of having an immersion program. So maybe next year we'll have a trial run.
So even if Maryknoll School wants to do it, you still involve teachers, right? That
We would support Maryknoll in any way that makes sense for Maryknoll.
Okay,
So
I
I think they would probably use one of their own teachers who already is on staff, who happens to know Chinese. So if say we wanted to start at kindergarten, they would pick one of the kindergarten teachers or hire a kindergarten teacher, and we would work with that teacher. We'd bring in national experts. We'd help develop a curriculum. If they need help getting materials, we would help with that sort of thing.
that may be easy if you're talking about a private school setting. But when you try to push it on a public school, then you probably involve union teachers that the school may not, or the school district may not have the bilingual teachers available.
Many of the immersion schools, as far as I know, that have been started around the country and are extremely successful are public schools.
Public school.
So what they do is they take an available teacher, somebody who's been certified, who has training in education, who has certification from the Department of Education, who's already teaching, and ask them, would you be interested in doing this? And if they say yes, take them, give them a lot of support, a lot of training on how to do bilingual. Actually, there have been so many people working on it now that there's a lot more resources available. For example, curriculums. There are available curricula, kindergarten Chinese, first grade Chinese, second grade Chinese, third grade Chinese. So you can adopt some of these from other places. And something that we would do if there were a school interested in trying this in Hawaii is we'd bring in some of the most effective bilingual teachers from other schools around the country, bring them here. Or send our teacher there to sit in on their classes and just absorb. What does this look like? How do you set up a classroom? What are the kids doing?
So you help train the teacher
Yes, we would
to
definitely
be
help
ready to,
yes,
to get
exactly.
involved and participate.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So that's very, very important. I mean, if we're going to do it, we need quality. So we're really hoping that we can set up one classroom that is high quality, because other places, what they've seen is you get one high quality program going, the parents flock there.
I see.
Other people want to do it, and it just mushrooms. That's why immersion is the fastest growing.
Well, we're going into a commercial right now, so maybe when we come back, you can talk a bit more about the immersion school in Hawaii and other part of the nations.
That was 15 minutes?
Hi, I'm Ethan Allen, host of Likeable Science on Think Tech Hawaii. Come join us every Friday at 2 p.m. when I interview interesting scientists about what they do, why they do it, and why we should all care about it. It's a lot of fun to see. And you can learn interesting stuff. You'll hear all kinds of fascinating science, and we know you'll have a great time. Hope to see you then. Bye-bye.
You're watching ThinkTech Hawaii, meeting people we may not otherwise have met, helping us understand and appreciate the good things about Hawaii. Great content for Hawaii from ThinkTech.
Aloha, my name is Richard Emery, and I host Condo Insider. We talk about issues facing the condo association throughout Hawaii and talk about solutions. When you think about it, about 1/3 of our population lives in some form of common interest real estate. We broadcast every Thursday at 3 p.m. Please tune in and thank you. Aloha.
Aloha, I'm Kirsten Baumgart-Turner, and I'm fortunate to be able to host Sustainable Hawaii at thinktechhawaii.com. I hope you'll join in with us every Tuesday from 12 noon to 1 p.m. to see the interesting people we have to share with you their information. Aloha.
Welcome back to Asia in Review. This is Johnson Choi, your host. Our guest today is Cynthia Ning. Let me go back to talk about the immersion school and try to start the kid at a very young age, expose them into a foreign language, not necessarily Chinese or other languages. And you may have some experience. Oh, of course, Hawaii haven't have a school started yet, so this is a work in process. Mm-hmm. But maybe you exposed to or came across with some other program in the mainland that may be successful. Maybe you can share with our audience that how some other school might be doing.
Again, I'm not a expert in immersion yet. I would like to find out more about it, but I have visited some immersion schools and I have spoken to a number of national experts on immersion. And of course, what excites educators and school districts in general is that students do better in scores after going through immersion. Learning the target language is like icing on the cake. The advantage of starting very young is that pathways in the brain haven't frozen off. A baby is born able to speak any language in the world. Okay, if they're exposed to certain languages, they pick up all the native intonations, all the native pronunciations. Okay, so if you start a kid early, they sound like a native speaker. I've met and I've heard little kids who have no Asian ethnicity talking like Beijingers, you know. And it's very natural to them. It's very comfortable to them. So that's wonderful. And that's so in the field, basically, at the moment, people are saying the very best way to learn a foreign language is through immersion. It's really hard to learn a foreign language. It takes, I mean, if you think of how long a baby growing up takes to learn the native language, you have to replicate that for the foreign language. So it takes a long time. And the very best way to do it is through immersion. So the advertisements you see, like, give us 2 weeks and we'll make you fluent in a foreign language, don't believe it. It doesn't work. You know, it's a lifelong, if you really want to become good in a foreign language, it's a lifelong commitment. It's fun. Anyway, so, you make a lifelong commitment to doing it. It's like you make a lifelong commitment to eating and breathing and stuff like that. But
Lastly, maybe change to a different topic. My understanding is the founding father of the modern China, Dr. Sun Yat-sen, will be celebrating his 150th birthday this year. And there are a few organizations in Hawaii. I think Lillian Sun, who is the grandson of Dr. Sun Yat-sen, who live in LA. And there are some organizations in Hawaii, such as Confucius Institute, the Dr. Sun Yat-sen Foundation Hawaii, and others, is planning to put together a celebration, a conference, education, fun event. Will be attended by a lot of people from mainland China, as well as try to bring in the local community to celebrate the historic moment for Hawaii, because as those that may not know, Dr. Sun Yat-sen went to both Puno, Iolani, and his brother was have a farm in Maui, helped him finance the revolution, eventually filed for bankruptcy. And he also spent also a lot of time in California raising money to fund the revolution. So for a lot of Chinese American and also for the Hawaii, from a historic perspective, Hawaii played a very important role on the modernization, the modern day China. So maybe how Confucius Institute may help in this respect, or maybe you can share with us or ask our audience that maybe that's a good way to learn a bit more about our Hawaii and Asia relationship, because so often we always say, well, we are in the middle of the Pacific, we're between the West and East in Asia. Increasingly, from my experience spending traveling between West Coast and Hawaii, with the modern airplane, they no longer have to come to Hawaii to refuel. So basically, they could fly all the way from Shanghai or Beijing to New York, to Chicago, to Toronto or Boston. I mean, without have to refuel in Hawaii like they have to do in the 70s and 80s. So sometimes we try to maintain a certain luster that for Chinese, which the number of the visitor, outbound visitor from China is growing at a double digit every year. So maybe Confucius Institute, the language program and the other things, and special celebration in August, right? My understanding is like August 3rd to the 6th or something like that, will be in Hawaii, right? So how do you see this historic get-together? Maybe we can put it this way.
Sun Yat-sen is one of those magical things about Hawaii. It's a huge part of history. This young boy came over and came over very concerned about what was happening in China, and saw something in America and learned something that changed his whole mindset. And a lot of what he wrote about, the three principles of the people, he picked up by studying about George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, and he became Christian, and some of the Christian tenets. He formulated it into a new approach, a new doctrine for modern China, and then he went on to become the George Washington of
modern China.
Modern China, Republican China, non-imperial China. So the fact that he was here formulating his ideas, and then he came back here to jumpstart his revolution. That's amazing for Hawaii. Hawaii is a very small place. We have less population than one small district in Beijing, but our role in that history is really quite amazing. Hawaii also has a reputation for being a really friendly place, especially very friendly to Asia. I have always thought that, like with the Confucius Institute, when the LA consulate needed to start a new Confucius Institute, they came to Hawaii. I mean, I'd like to believe that it's because they thought that Hawaii is friendly. Is China friendly? It's a good place to begin. Anyway, so that is something that's special for Hawaii, and we really should live up to it, follow along with it. So it's the 150th anniversary of the birth of Sun Yat-sen, and members of the Sun Yat-sen family would like to do something. And what has come to mind for them is a mixture of many things. One, bringing family members together. Number two, bringing together representatives from over 100 institutions around the world that focus on Sun Yat-sen. Sun Yat-sen centers all over China, Taiwan, Southeast Asia, bring together people from there to see where Sun Yat-sen was. So part of what is being put together is a forum, and that's what the university is contributing. organizing the forum, although we're working very closely with the planning committee that includes members of the family. So a forum, a visit to the places that Sun Yat-sen lived and walked in Hawaii, on Oahu, in Honolulu, a visit to Maui, to his brother's farm, so that. A business-focused symposium to push East-West business and trade. So a number of things. I think they're proposing a golf tournament to take advantage of Hawaii's natural environment. So a number of things. So in typical Confucius Institute format, we take the lead from the local groups. What is it that you need from us? So since a lot of us are academics, so we found a location at the East-West Center on campus. We're going to organize. We're going to organize the speakers. We're going to introduce and keep time and lead the discussion. But pretty much we're going to let the group, in this case it's the family members, tell us who are the good speakers, what should we discuss, that sort of thing.
I think it's very important because before the 9/11 hit, I think in United States, less than 8% of the people actually hold a U.S. passport. Mm-hmm. And after 9/11, I was told the percentage went up by about maybe 6%, so now about 12% hold a passport. But the critical part is even less people from the U.S. Congress or the Senate actually hold a U.S. passport. In other words, those people, they don't travel outside the country, So the big challenge for us sometimes on the U.S.-China relationship is you heard a lot of things from the public media, which in America basically controlled by 6 companies. So in a lot of ways, are controlled media. So hopefully this kind of relationship, like I mentioned some of my friends in San Francisco, I do read Chinese. So a lot of time I read the typical US media, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times. At the same time, also read the media from Taiwan, from Hong Kong, from China. And sometimes you thought the world, there are 2 different worlds out there because they are totally different perspective and look at things. So I think like Dr. Sun Yat-sen present a very neutral, very acceptable person, both to the People's Republic of China and the Republic of China. Maybe he's a good person to play that kind of role, to bring the harmony between Taiwan and China, as well as between the United States and China, because right now we have some serious argument in the South China Sea and also on the northern East China Sea side. So with that, hopefully with the Confucius Institute get more involved, and like you said, you guys are more than just teaching languages, and actually each institute has the ability to do more than that. So hopefully the Hawaii version of the Confucius Institute will be able to do more on the East-West relationship, and that will enhance and also help to cement our tie as what we call at the Middle Pacific, hopefully to help the East and West.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think we are towards the end of the program. At this time, I would like to thank you, Cynthia.
Thanks for having me.
Take your time out from your busy schedule to come up and talk to us and to our audience.
It's delightful
Thank you,
being here.
Cynthia.
Thank you.
Looking forward to see you again.
Okay.